Hey guys, welcome back to the Nova Group. This is going to be a summary of my Utah Shooters Marksman Challenge competition. This specific match was 12 stages, on average 10 to 20 required impacts per stage from 200 to 800 yards, though in practice it was about double that for impacts per stage, and the vast majority of targets were in the 5 to 600 yard range. I was in the DMR category, shooting 6 arc out of my 14.5 Munition Works upper, and I scored 19th or 20 overall out of 100 or so shooters. I like doing these videos because it forces me to watch all of this footage in a critical manner, something that I need to do if I want to improve, or at minimum, honestly, just keep myself humble as that subscriber count slowly creeps up. Speaking of which, I'm basically only really going to be focusing on what I think I need to do better, so it's going to sound like a bitch fest, and it's going to be a long bitch fest because this is a brutally long match. 15 minutes of raw shooting, about 11 hours of range time. Oh, and adding this in, well, honestly, because it dropped right as I was writing the notes for this video, a lot of people are going to be critical of my scores because nowadays, if you're not a top percentile shooter, you're basically garbage, which is, fair enough. I get it, right? I'm talking on the internet, so a lot of the validity of what I said is going to be tied with that. Sure, whatever. Granted, in this gentleman's case, I would maybe make sure your practice score is a bit more airtight before coming after my performance, especially if you're going to be critical about carbine-related optics. Okay, let's start with stage 6, which is going to be our first stage of the day. A bunch of mini targets at 200, but very spaced apart for almost 45 degrees of panning, and a lot of bouncing between them. 2 positions on the car. I did fine here. I should have probably done a reload between position as I'm running underloaded mags, trying to kind of overcome the fact that these things tend to malfunction, or I should have just started with the 30 rounder from the start, which is far more reliable. I have my scooped zoomed way out here, unlike a lot of other shooters, because while the targets are small, the dope is almost identical between all the targets, so having a zoomed out scope really allowed me to bounce more effectively and find targets as they were kind of forward defined here, and I think it worked out all right. 14th place with a reload in the mix. Stage 7 was called the Cactus stage, 1 target at 400, small plate-ish size target. Most of the problem here was me not taking the pre-stage seriously enough, combined with the absolute target saturation this match had. We were on approximately if we just call it the x-axis, about 1.5 mile long stretch for every single stage put together, which each stage only about 10-20 feet apart. And then we all shared the same, backdrop to shoot on. Around 100 targets or so on what amounts to be a flat field with some identifiers for most of the match area. So for the first 3 of the 4 positions, you can just see I'm lost in the sauce trying to find whatever the hell my target is. I think I'll see something, I'll line up my dot, scope in, oopsie daisies, that's an IPSC, not a circle, or whatever it was for this stage. So this was the first of several stages that eventually drilled into me. Every single stage you need to interrogate the RO, you need to have them point out the target in the stage binocular, so you wouldn't miss it when it came time for you to actually do the course of fire. In retrospect, looking at this, it's very obvious that I'm not as stable as I need to be. On the top positions, I should A-frame up a little bit more, and on the lower positions, I need to do a little less of the crouching and more of the kind of like building a structure off of your body, so elbow on knees, stuff like that. Anyways, 32-second place. What is a 32-second? 32nd place, 89 seconds, so
Are you counting the stages? I've lost track.
Stage 8 was probably one of the worst stages I did. You need to deploy a provided tripod here, use it in 3 of the 4 shooting positions, and engage a 500-yard target here. I think I had a decent start. I get the tripod out way faster than anyone else, but then it turns out the QD mechanism on the top doesn't work how I thought it would, and I assume it's just broken. Also, I'm frankly not sure how I didn't notice this when I deployed it, but the tripod has reverse threads for the legs. So even though I do it properly for the first two legs, when I go to actually tighten the front leg a second time when I notice it's loose, I unthread the whole thing instead of probably trying to tighten it. And then on top of that, learning on the fly how to shoot on a non-clipped-in tripod, and I really just torpedo this stage. However, once I gave up on traditional tripod technique and just sort of mashed all my weight into the rifle, as hard as I could, I was able to make easy hits on the last two positions and just sort of claw my way back into the stage and not failing it. But 114 seconds, yikes, 65th place.
Oh, also hilariously, if I don't do a reload here and my 30-round magazine touches the barrel, I DQ the stage.
Stage 9 is the prone stage. 4 targets, basically shot sequentially, 2 up close, 1 500 and 1 700-yard target. I felt fine here, but really shows my lack of experience with this type of shooting with slow positional movement between like kind of each position. I also kind of got slapped a bit too much around by the wind in that middle position. Is what it is. I think I'm also completely in the wrong mindset at this point as I'm actually slowing down as the match progresses, not just because I'm obviously tired, sure, some of that, but also because I'm kind of using my squad as my metric for what is good or bad performance. But my squad is getting bent over backwards because so many people are running 5.56, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that at any given time, 50% of my squad is failing to clear a stage and timing out, right? We only have 2 minutes per stage. So I'm not really in a competition mindset. I'm in a do not fail the stage mindset and you'll do all right. And that was the wrong mindset for this match.
Hit! Nice. Who the fuck is this shithole? Oh, fuck. I held like 2 mils pretty hot. Really? Impact!
Next stage, stage 10, logs. 3 targets all at 450, so 1 dial was good enough, C-zone size. And 1 unsupported shot. Ironic, I forgot it in the notes, and I also forget it during the match. This one felt pretty good, mostly because these targets were, to me, very obvious to the naked eye, and that's what I'm good at, moving between positions, seeing a target, slamming the rifle down, and engaging and getting a first-round shot off pretty quickly. So this was right up my alley, and it showed, and even faffing around with the bipod and forgetting the last target, I got 4th place on this one.
Impact!
Target 1. Impact. Target 1.
Impact!
Target 2.
Impact!
Target 1.
I don't have line of sight on
Target
three.
1.
Go for it, I got it. Impact!
Target 3.
I'm supporting. Impact!
Stage 11, easy stage. 1 plate at 313, 1 at 218. This is an example of what felt fine, but then I did like shit on because the stage was so relatively easy. Fine is not good enough. It's worth mentioning at this point, for about half this match, I refused to use a shooting bag because I was doing a review on a 6 arc gun, and I was also trying to make a point to someone else that you don't really need a bag to do this type of shooting. It just kind of helps you out, but in general, for carbine shooting, I'm very strongly of the opinion that you should be quite competent without a bag. A bag in a sort of movement-based run and gun scenario is a little bit more of a competition artifact and not something you would do, obviously in a run and gun course. So, while I do often still bring bags with me, and I will use it for a good chunk of this match, I just didn't want to here. And I think this stage was one of the stages where I actually probably needed it more than the other stages I used it as. As you can see, I kind of need to reposition my bipod, otherwise it's just going to fall off the tire as I transition between targets. I don't know, this is all cope. The real reality here is I just did a lot of missing, be it the wind or just not being very good, shaky. I was kind of hungry all day because I was just snacking on MREs, but anyway. like I said, a lot of coping. This is one of the stages where I should have done a lot better. So I got 32nd, 72 seconds overall.
Impact. Impact. Now 4. That's it.
Yep.
I got 8.
Stage 12, tank traps. 300 and a 370 yards reduced IPSC sight target in a field, and you just kind of bounce between them all match long. This was just sort of a good stage with a lot of small things that compounded to really sap a lot of my time. Obviously, at the start, you could see me struggling to find the target because I'm not indexing properly and I'm looking in the wrong direction. In fact, I'm looking at the wrong 2 pairs of targets, and then I'm like, wait, where's the tree that I was going to reference on? And that took a little bit of time. I obviously have malfunctions and then a bolt lock reload. I also shot a number of targets 2 to 3 times because I couldn't hear the dude behind me saying impact. The RO couldn't even hear him say it, so I end up overshooting a number of targets. But so maybe I could have eked out another 10, 15 seconds, but whatever. This match, we were really not interested in asking for reshoots because, I mean, once again, 12 matches in what was supposed to be like 8 hours. So 29th place, 72 seconds.
Oh no, where'd it go?
Stage 1. This stage had a target at 382, basically 500, and one at 820. They're all reduced size except the 820, which is like a garbage bin sized sort of gong. The stage crushed people, especially at the 475 yard, because it was a target in the back of a line of very deep trees, and without sufficient magnification, you're basically just going to saturate the position until you hear a hit. The sun for us at this point was also really behind the target, really creating a lot of a deep shadow, and the identifier on the target was similarly now obscured within that dark area. Personally, I just had just enough magnification that I could see the identifier but not the target, so I would just find that and then rack my optic up and then saturate the area above the identifier until I could get a hit. The rest of the squad was not nearly so lucky, and a lot of people couldn't get past the first attempt at the 475-yard target. We had to hit it twice in 2 different positions. Very obvious that I don't have that much experience in this standing prone position with this specific bipod. You see me messing around with the bag the entire time, realizing that the Atlas, which is kind of known for not actually having all that much elevation or leg length built into it, realizing that was too short, and then getting to the final position and realizing that I can't use a bag. The gun physically does not depress enough with a bag to hit the final target. Wasted a lot of time. Had I been able to dry run this stage or just had more experience, I would have shaved off a good 20-25 seconds. Better. Anyway, 21st with 100 seconds overall. Okay, stage 2. One plate in the middle of a cluster of sagebrushes, one target on the mountain at 500. Fuck this stage. I spent an ungodly amount of time on this stage just being unable to find that first target in the field of sagebrush over and over and over again because the clouds came out and it was the exact same shade as the targets because the paint had, by this point, completely worn off, and it's a very small mini plate size target, zero contrast. And when we did the briefing beforehand and the guy put it into the scope, we were looking at the wrong target. There was a second target in that same sagebrush field, only about 10 degrees to the right, and that fucked up a lot of people. Hop got so messed up here and didn't have enough zoom or clarity and a proper brief that he essentially he got no hits that stage and just got wrecked. So kind of a bummer for him. You'll notice in a lot of these stages, I'm using the 20-round Duramags instead of the much more reliable Geisley mags. The Geisley mags are too long that I can't use them in certain positions. This stage had a prone position, so I wanted to start with the 20-rounder. Got a malfunction. Boo. So, yeah, is what it is. I got majorly freaked out by Hop's performance here, so for some reason it made me resort to dialing back and forth between each target instead of just holding, and I wasted so much time. Dumb. This was the only stage I timed out on. 1 target hit from finishing. Bad performance. Bad. 40th, 150 seconds. Okay, stage 3, the PRS stage. I was dreading this stage all day. It's a C-zone target at 420 blazed and a plate square size thing at 350. So 8 shots, 8 engagements, that's all you get, right? If you miss a target, you just take a 20-second penalty and you move on to a new position. In theory, the best way to shoot this stage is to dump all 8 rounds into the berm in 1 second flat, take your 8 penalties, and that's going to total about 160 seconds, which is going to be better than the majority of the match. My strat going into this was just to go as fast as possible, maybe get half of the misses, but then aim for like a sub 40-second time and, go from there. But the rain picked up hard and I couldn't see anything. Misses, hits, splashes. Honestly, at the start, I couldn't even find the target. I was just looking through a completely fogged up scope and it was bad, right? It cleared up a little bit, and I ended up getting 6 out of 8 targets, but I took way too long doing it. So in theory, I could have gotten the exact same time if I just emptied my mag into the berm. So 33rd here, 160 seconds with the penalty of missing those 2 targets. On to stage 4. We were tired, but at this point we are dying and our fucks have rapidly reduced to 0, so much so that I'm noticing a lot of people just give up. Like, people are going home, they're tired of it, we're well past the target time that we should have been at. People have places to be, people have kids, I have a dog at home, whatever. Some of the ROs are even becoming incredibly passive-aggressive to the point where it's kind of comical. To be sure, it's understandable. A lot of the shooters are very tired at this point, so they're kind of dragging their feet, and the ROs want to go home, so people just yapping and not being ready to shoot. Yeah, I get it. It's incredibly frustrating. Anyway, back to the stage. 1 target at 618, and then you just hit it from edge position. My positional work on the spool was dismal. Could have done better, but whatever. Did really well on the prone position. Got to the center engagement point. Indexed on the right target, I hear someone behind me go, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm shooting the wrong target. Transition to the other target, and then they're like, no, wrong target, idiot. So I fucked up a bit of time there, but not really much in the grand scheme of things. I get to the spool again, the G-Money mag is just fighting me, and then I close it out for 12th? Yeah, I don't know either. This stage felt like garbage.
Hit it. Oh, sick. Impact.
Okay, final stage. You guys and me are almost through this. This stage was by far my worst stage, at least from a vibes perspective. And for once, I think this one isn't really on me. I'm going to blame this on stage design and time of day. The sun is now directly in my eyeballs because I think it's about 6 o'clock in the evening at this point, and the target is perfectly in front of a berm, such that there's a large shadow casted over it. When I get to this position, I can't tell where the target is, even with 18x. So I start engaging a rock for a steak dinner's worth of 6 arc until I unintentionally kick up enough dust to briefly silhouette the correct target, instantly see it, make my hit on the spot, and then clear the rest of the stage. 53rd place, cool, sick, fuck me.
You can also see me struggling here where I have to hold my offhand in front of my face to shield my scoped eye from all the sun coming over the scope and directly into my eyeball, kind of like an Ursat's, PSO rubber eyepiece, because I literally could not see into the sun.
Okay, that was the match. Overall, I think if I had to pick something to work on, it was surprisingly not the far targets. I actually did really well if you look at the stages that were very far target oriented, scoring about top 15, even some top 10s for targets with farther, stages. It was the medium range stages that I really burnt a lot of time on, which is surprising because I thought I would do well on those. But I just wasn't making my hits fast enough, and I think I need to be a little bit more accurate. Overall, this was an excellent match from the perspective of being able to just shoot a lot of different targets at a lot of different ranges off of a lot of different covers. And I haven't seen a match like this in basically ever. It's a really cool match, and the Utah Shooter guys should be really proud of the overall match design. I really do look forward to more, and depending on the wake-up time, I might do another one.